Hello and welcome back to this new tutorial in which we are going to make a concert booking website using Next.js and Tailwind CSS. Along with that, we are also going to use frame motion for our animations to give our users a better experience. So let's get started and start building our app. But before that, let me give you a small preview of this website. So here I'm going to refresh it and you can see the animation of our website. Now if I scroll down, you can see our image comes with an animation, and then for the other sections as well. And for the schedule section, here we have all the groups and their schedule date of events. Right now it is New Jeans, then Momoland, Espa, Twice, and also you can scroll this menu bar. And now below that we have our Get Your Ticket Now section, and lastly we have our photo section. So this is our website. Our website is also responsive. Let me show you that as well. So now if I start resizing it, you can see it's responsive as well. Everything is looking good. You can make window size more small and it's still looking good. So in this tutorial we are going to make this website in the Next.js framework, and for the styling we are going to use Tailwind CSS, and for the animations we are going to use frame motion. So now with that, let's start building our app. So the first thing we need to do is to make our next app. So go to your terminal and then type these following commands: npx create next app @latest, and this will install all the needed packages for our next app. And after installation, let's go to our project directory. So write cd concert tab and you will go, and then let's clear the terminal, and then let's start our server by writing npm. So let's do some basic setups before writing our code. So in the app directory, go to the pages and remove all these things, and let's write a div. Inside that we are going to write hello, and let's check if our Tailwind CSS is working or not. So let's give a text color of red 500, and let's go and check it here. Yeah, it's working fine. And after that, go to your global.css and remove this as well. And I'm also going to add some images here, so let me go and add some more. So these are all the images that we require. Along with that, we also need a data.json for our date and venue. And then in the layout.tsx, we are going to change our font, which is Vioda Libre. Same here, change the font, and then after that we get an error. And to remove this error, we are going to add one more thing, which is weight, and that will be 400, and then we add a comma to remove the error. And if we go here and check, our font has been changed. And now this is all we have to do in the layout.tsx. Now make a folder here named components. Inside that we are going to have a file named container.tsx, and then define that file container with arrow function, and it will return a div with a class name of max width of 200,480 pixels, and then if the size is above Excel we will have a horizontal padding of 20. If it's above MD, we will have a padding of 10. Same for SM, we will have a padding of 2, and by default we will have a padding of 4. And then we write MX Auto to make it all in the center. Now this will be a client component. Now here you can see that this component is a client component, but we are going to use this component as a wrapper to wrap other components in it. But we know one thing, that a client component cannot wrap a server component in it, and to make that happen we have to pass server component inside a client component as a prop to be able to render that as well. You can check that on the official website of Next.js, which is here, that unsupported pattern importing server component into a client component, and we can import a server component inside a client component by passing as a prop. So we are going to do the same here, and for that let's write an interface here, container props, and it will have children as React node dot React node, and then we are going to pass it here. So React dot fc, then container props, and inside this we are going to have our children, and then we are going to have our children here as well. And after doing that we can have a server component inside our container component. So next thing we have to do is making our navbar. Let's make a folder here, navbar, and inside that we are going to have our file navbar.tsx. Now let's define our component here, navbar, and this will return right now a div, and let's export it as well, navbar. One more thing I forgot here is to export this function. So export default container, and now let's add our navbar here. So remove this and then remove the class name as well. Inside the div we are going to import our container, not from the post CSS, container from here, and then inside the container we are going to have a div. I'll tell you why we are going to have a div here. Let's make a position its relative, and then inside this we are going to have our navbar. So write navbar, save it. Let's go here and check. There's nothing because we haven't added here anything. So let's write navbar. Then let's go here. So as you can see we have some padding here because of the container, and we are passing our navbar inside the container as a prop. Right now the navbar is a server component because we haven't declared it as a use client. So we are passing a server component inside a client component, and we are getting the result. So that's why we use this. And now let's go in the global.css, and in the body let's have a background of hashtag 1e1e1e, and then color of text will be white. And this way we'll get this background and our text color is white. Now close this and close this, and then we are going to work on the navbar section. And now in the navbar we are going to first declare it as a client, and then let's import image from next image, and then import motion from framer motion, not fs, framer motion. Oh, we haven't installed it yet. So let's go to the terminal and open a new terminal and write npm I framer motion, and then let's import it here. Import motion from framer motion, and with that let's remove this and then write one more div here, and then one more div here with a class name of flex row and item center and justify between. And then inside of that we are going to have our image and our menu and our button. So first thing we are going to have is our image. So let's write div, and then we have our image here. Let's close it and pass some props. First let's make it a priority true, and then let's have our style of width, then our height will be GST, and this will be auto. And outside this style we'll have our src. This will be pointing to the logo.png, and then we'll have our width 196 and height 20, and then let's have a alt with logo, and then let's save it and go here, check. This is our logo. Below that we can have our another list. Inside that we can have li, then our href, then our anchor tag. Inside that let's write home, let's duplicate 5 times, then write performance, booking, then store, and then about us. And then below that we'll have one more div. Inside that we'll have our button, which will have a and this button will have a class name of lgpx7, py2, px5 if it is below lg, bg white, and text black. And then inside the button write sign in. Let's go here and check. So this is now, so right now this is how our navbar is looking. Let's give some styling here. So first let's have a padding of 5 at the top, and then inside this UL will have a class name which will be flex row, and items will be center lg space not x, it will be y of 10, then space x will be 6 and max md hidden. So if it's below md, this whole section will be hidden. And then let's go here. I think this should be x. Yeah. And then in the button we can have a class name of cursor pointer. And now our Navbar is ready. Now let's add our animations here. But before that, you can go to the Framer Motion. You can go to the Framer Motion documentation and learn how to use the Framer Motion. But simply I'm going to tell you how can you use it. To use the Framer Motion, we have to use motion before each tag. So div will be motion.div, and then we define some properties here like initial. What will be initial state of our components. So right now, so for the image, it will be in the -100x. So -100 is in the pixels, and then we also have opacity of 0. And then while in view, what this means is whenever it is in view, so whenever you scroll and get to this particular section, then it will start animating. Before that, it will not start animations. So for that, we are going to take everything to their original positions, and opacity will be 1. Now we also need to define one more thing here, which is viewport, and it will be once true. So this means that animation is going to run only once. And then we are going to define some transitions here. So inside the transition, we can add a duration of 0.4 seconds and of delay of 0.1 seconds. And now if I save and go here, you can see our animation. Refresh it and you can see the logo is coming from the left side. Similarly, we can do for other text as well. So for the UL, and in this I'm going to show you the another way you can use the Framer Motion. So initially it will have hidden. So here we are using a concept of variant, where we define a constant variant, and then while in view it will be show, or you can say visible. Similarly, we can have viewport and transition here as well, and then we can change the duration to 0.5, and then after doing this, you can see that we haven't defined anything like hidden or visible, and for that we are going to define a variant here. So in variants, we can define here the visible and the hidden two states. So in visible, we can have the opacity of 0 or 1, and y will be 0. And then in the hidden, we can have opacity of 0 and y could be 40. And then we save it and go here and check, and then let's refresh it, and you can see our menu comes from the bottom. There's one more way you can define your variants, which is by defining constant. Let's name our variant to variant. You can change the name whatever you like. Like let's have the name is equal to container, and then inside the container we are going to copy and paste, and then you can remove all these things, and inside this we can add our variant which is container. And if I save it and go here, refresh, this will act in the same way as it was doing before. So this is the second way you can define our variants in the function, below the function. And similarly for our button, we can add motion before div. So this is for the button, and let's refresh our Navbar again, and this is how it is looking. So with that, our Navbar section is ready, and now let's work on our hero section, which is here. This is our hero section. So let's start working on that. For that, let's make a component here which is hero, and then write hero.tsx, and let's define it as well. So write hero, and then let's export it as well. So export default hero. Now as you can see in our hero section, in the background we have some gradients here, or you can say lines. We need to add it here, and for that we have a SVG here. So I think this is the SVG that we are going to use for our background. So let's copy this and go to the pages, and we are going to paste our SVG here. So below the navbar, paste our SVG, and then we are going to add some CSS in the SVG. So add a class name here and make the position to absolute, then top will be 0, left will be 0, right will be 0, bottom will be 0, and Z will be minus Z 20, W will be full, height will be auto, and opacity will be of 20. And now let's go and check if it's working or not. It is working. Now we have our background. And also let's import our hero here. So write hero, then let's go in the hero section, and same like we did before, we are going to make this as a use client, and then we are going to import our image from next image, and then I'm going to import our motion from motion, and inside the function we are going to define some variants for our animation. The first will be a container like we did before, and it will have hidden. Inside that we have opacity of 0, and then we will have our show, and that will have opacity of 1, and transition will be stagger children of 0.3 seconds. And then below that we are going to define one more variant here. So this will be item, and it will have hidden, which will have opacity of 0, then it will be in the y direction of 30. Let's add a comma here, and then show. It will have opacity of 1, and then y0, and then it will have a transition type smooth, and then we are going to have one more variant here, which I am going to paste here. So these are the 3 variants we are going to require in the hero section. You can make this type. Now inside div, let's add a class name here, which will be padding top of 28, and then we'll have a div, and this div will have a class name of flex column item center, and then justify begin. Inside that we have our h1 tag of class name of text center. So if you are not getting the suggestion, you can just click Ctrl and space for the suggestions, and I think that will do the trick. So after the text center, we are going to have the text of 9 pixels and padding bottom of 2. Leading will be snug, and then this is actually a line height, and max LG, and this will be a text 7 pixel, I think 7 pixel, yeah. Similarly for max MD, text will be 5 pixel, and inside the h1 tag we are going to write. Then let's go below and add a paragraph tag, which will have the same CSS, and inside that we are going to write. And the reason we are using Unicode here, because we don't want to get any error while building this app. So let's save it and go here. Below that we are going to have a paragraph tag, and then inside the paragraph tag we are going to have a class name. This will be text Excel. Text will be center. Suggestions text center, and then this will have a width of 10 by 12. MX will be auto to make it in center. Tracking wider, yeah. And then text neutral 500 400. Max LG, text will be base, and then max MD, text will be SN. And here the tracking wider is the space between the letters. And let's save it and go here. Now this is looking something like this, and let me show you the tracking wider CSS. So if I select this one, widest, you can see little bit that the letter spacing is little bit more, and if I select tight, then you can see they are collapsing into each other. So let's go back to the original, and before going any further, let's add our animations here. So write motion.div, and then we are going to have our initial. Let's have this class name to other line, and then we are going to write initial. It will have hidden, then while in view this will have show, and then we are going to have our variant here, which will be container. And then let's make our h1 motion h1, then this as well, and this as well, motion. And let's have our variant. This will have a variant of item, this will have a variant of item as well, and this will have the same. And then let's go and see the animations. Let me check if we are getting an error or not. So not here. The console step color. So let's go in the page and step color. So we have to change it to this, then opacity, and this as a color. And I think this should do it. Let's refresh it, and now we are not getting an error. And here you might have noticed that I have defined initial and while in view to this div only, not for these div, and that is because this div is the parent to all these div. So you need to only define initial and while in view in the parent, and then for the other, which is the children, you can define the variant only, and this will be enough to make the animation. Let's have our div here with the class name, and which will have a margin top of 28 and text will be white. And then we can have one more div with a class name of p2, position will be relative. Inside that we are going to have our image, and this will have a class name of wfull LG H 700 pixels, MD will be 500 pixels, and if it's below MD, then it will have 300 pixels of height. And then we'll have object cover and object top. Where is top? This is top. And then opacity will be 100. And let's give a source, which will be image 4.webp, and alt will be image. Now let's save and go here, and you can see our image. And now let's work on the text. So below the image we are going to have div. Inside that div will have a span, which will write aspa, then another span, and this class name will have position absolute top 4 LG text 7XL or text 4XL if it's below LG, and we are going to have left 4 as well. Similarly for this one we'll have a class name, and inside that we'll have a position absolute bottom 8 and left will be 4, and then LG text XL MD text base, otherwise it will have text SM. and max sm hidden. Let's copy this and paste here and here, and then remove this part and this part, and then here we are going to have top 4 and right here, and here we are going to have right 4 and bottom 4. Now save it and let's go check here. Let me give up margin bottom of 20 so that you can see it, and now you can see our all text here. And now if I resize it, you can see that it's responsive. And now let's add the animation. So, and here we will have initial in which we'll have white to the 400 pixel and opacity will be 0, and while in view we are going to have y to 0 and opacity to 1. And let's have our viewport which will be once and that will be true. And outside that we are going to add a transition with a duration of 0.8 seconds, and the type will be keyframes. And for the text we are going to add variants here. So first write motion.date, and then variant will be container, while in view it will show, initial will be hidden, and then we are going to have our viewport which will be once true, and then transition will be delay children with 0.15 seconds, 1 second. And now let's add motion to each of these spans, and then add a variant to image. Now copy this, paste here, and then here. I think we got a problem here. Dot span. Now if you save and go here, scroll down, and let me give a delay of 1.5 seconds here. Now if I save it and go here, let's refresh it, and you can see our animations. So with that, our hero section is ready, and now we have to work on our section. So for that we are going to make a file here which is section.tsx, and inside that let's define it. Let's also export it by writing export default section, and let's import here outside this div. So that's section, and it has been imported. And let's save and go here, and you can see you can see our section here. So inside the section we are going to make something like this, where we showcase some of the idle groups. So for that, so first let me make it as a client component, and then let me import motion from motion, and then inside the container we are going to define some variants which we will copy from here. So copy this and paste here, and then everything will be same. Besides, we're going to add scale here, which will be 1.1, and after the animation it will be 1. And with that our variant is ready. And then inside this div, let me first add a class name and then margin top of 40. Let me remove that margin bottom. And now inside this we can have our div here, which will contain image, and this div will have some class names, and that will be empty grid. Grid calls 2, cap will be 7 in the x direction, and the space y will be 10. Inside that we are going to have our image. Below that we'll have a div saying elegant. Inside this div will have some class names, which will be max, empty, hidden, and then text will be 4XL, empty text will be 7XL, text neutral will be 800, and then flex items center, font extra bold, and then below that we are going to have one more div, and inside that div will have our h1 tag with a class name of text 4XL, empty 7, MB4, max SN, text 3XL. Now below that we are going to have a paragraph tag with the class name of text 2XL, text neutral of 500, max SN, text XL, and then we are going to write SN, enter Dynamics, and below that we are going to have one more p tag with a class name of text neutral of 500, then empty of 3, max SN, text SM, and then we are going to have some text here. And now below that we are going to have a button, and this will have a class name of px5, py2, then border 2, border white on hover, bg white on hover, text will be black, and then transition all is in, duration will be 200 milliseconds, and inside the button we'll write show more, and let's have a class name of uppercase, and here as well uppercase. And now if I save and go here, let's go here, I think I missed something, yeah, dot jpg, you can see our first group here, red velvet, and let me give a margin bottom of 40 so that you can see it. So this is our first item. Similarly, let's add other components here. So we'll have one more image here that will take black pink image .jpg, and then we'll have a div with a class name of text 4xl mt7 mb4 max sm text 3xl, and then text 4xl and the text 7xl, then text neutral will be 800 and flex item center MB20 and font will be extra bold, and in this we are going to write events and let's make it uppercase, and then below that div we'll have a h1 tag with a class name of text 4xl mt7 mb4 max sm text 3xl, and in this we are going to have, and below that let's copy these, and in the image section we'll have a class name with md empty of 40 pixels. Now let's save it and go here, and you can see our second component here. I think there should be some gap in here, so for that let's add empty of 5 and empty of 5 both. Yeah, and now similarly you can add the third component here. I'm just going to paste, but you can add in the same way, or you can just copy it from my GitHub repo. So let's save it and go here, and this is our third component. So we got all three components, and now let's add the animation. Let's make this div motion.div, and then inside that we are going to have our initial, which will be hidden, then variants will be container, and then again viewport will be once, and for the image we are going to add a motion.image and variants will be image, and then here we are going to add motion.div, and then variants will be item. Paste here and here as well, and let's make some changes here. The smooth will change to keyframe. We'll have a duration of 0.4 seconds, and here as well 0.4 seconds, and then here let's have a delay with 1.5 seconds. And as I save it, and hopefully everything is right, let's go here, and you can see. Let me refresh it again so that you can see. Yeah, so everything is okay, and let's check its responsivity. So if I reduce the size, you can see it's responsive as well. And now with that, let's make our next component schedule section. So here you can see in our schedule we have different groups, and with clicking on each names we can change the image, and with that we can also change the dates and venue. So these are the dates and venue for this particular group, and these are for this particular group, these are for this, and these are for this. So let's make the schedule section by making a folder here. So schedule, inside that we are going to write schedule.tsx. Let's define it and let's add this here. For this section we are going to use some states here. So import use state and use effect from React, and then obviously we are going to use motion from frame of motion, and then let's define some interface here for our functions that we are going to define later. So first will be event. This will be day, and day will be type of string, yeah. Then we are going to have location, and this will be type of string as well. And then we are going to have description, or you can say venue, and this will be type of string as well. And after that we are having one more interface here, which is date and date data. So month will be a string, and events will be a type of event array. And then we are going to have one more interface, which is schedule data, and set that we are having dates, which will be a date data array. I think this column, yeah. And now after that we are going to have an array naming artist, in which we are going to have all the names of the groups. These are all the groups. And after that let's go here and let's make this a react.fc. and now let's define some states here. First will be const selected item and set selected item, and it will have use state, and inside that we'll have a type of number, and it will have a default value of 2. Now again for the second state we are going to write schedule data, set schedule data, use state, and this will be a type of schedule data with array, and then it will have a default value of empty array. Now below that we are going to define our use state, in which we are going to fetch our data.json file here. So write const fetch schedule data. It will be a sync function, and then we'll write try and catch block. Inside the try we are going to fetch our data by writing const response is equals to await fetch /data.json, and then we are going to reassign this response to a data variable, which will be a type of schedule data, and then we'll write await response.json, and then set schedule data to data. Now below the try we are going to write catch. Inside that error, if we got any error, we are going to console that error, print out it as well. Now after that we are going to call our function here. So we are calling our function, and then after that we are going to define some variants for our frame of motion. So I'm just going to copy and paste it here, and after that we are going to make a image component inside this function. First we are going to have our image array, and inside that and then let's return our image. So we are going to map our images. So images.map image, then index, and then inside that we are going to have image tag, and inside the SLC we'll pass image, and then key will be of index, and then we are going to write some class names here. So class name, use template literals here. So opacity will be 90, and then W will be full, H will be auto, and max H will be 600 pixels, and then object cover, and then object top. After that max MD will be margin bottom of 20, and then we are going to render our dates as well. So write const render dates, and this will be written like this. And first we'll check if our schedule data selected item is available or not. If it's not, then we are going to return null, and if it's available, then we are going to define a dates variable. Then we will assign it to the schedule data dot dates, and after that we are going to return our function. So inside that we are going to write div with a class name of md absolute bottom to flex item start justify around, W will be full, text neutral will be of 100, MD grid, and grid calls to max MD will have a gap of, will map our dates. So dates dot map, and then we will have date and then index, and then we'll write like this. Please don't use curly braces here, or use the small braces, or you won't get the desired result. And then after that we are going to have a div here. Inside that div will have a key which will take index, and then a class name of text white. Now inside this div we can have an h1 tag with the class name of LG text 4xl and MD text 3xl, text 2xl, and a margin bottom of 4. And inside this we are going to write date dot month. And now in the second line we are going to have our unordered list. And in the class name we are going to have LG space y4 or space y2. Inside that we are going to again map over date for events dot map, and inside of that we are going to define a function event comma I, and small braces write li, and in the li we'll have a key of class name will be flex pro, and the item center LG space x5 and then space x2. Inside this li we going to have s2 tag with a class name of LG text 3xl text xl. Inside that s2 tag we are going to write events dot day, then close it. Then below the h2 tag we are going to have a div, and it will have a class name of max md text sm, and inside this div we are going to have a s3 tag, and it will have event dot location, and then outside this we'll have event dot description, and then we are going to save it. So this function will render our dates, but first let me explain you what is happening here. So first we are defining some interface for our TS file so that we don't get any type error, and after that we are having an array of artists, and then inside the main function we are defining some states. So this state will be used to select the images, and based on these images we are going to select the dates. So these two are interconnected, and then we are using the useEffect function to fetch our data from the data.json, and then we are storing that response into the data variable, and this variable has a type of an array, and then we are passing this data to the set schedule data, and after that we are catching an error if the error happens, and then we are calling the function, and below that we are defining the variants, and then we are going to, and after that we are rendering our image. And I think here I forgot one thing, that if it is selected, so if it is selected item, then we are going to do nothing, but if it's not selected, then we are going to have CSS of hidden, and after that we render our dates from this array of dates. If the schedule data, and inside the array we pass the particular index, so let's say if the selected item is second, then we go to the schedule data array and go to the second object. So let me go here and we go to the first, and this is the first, this is the 0th object, then this is the first and this is the second. So it goes to the second object and find the dates array here, find the dates array, and then it start mapping over all the dates, and then it prints every one of them. And inside the dates we also have some events like months October, November and September, so it also loops over them as well. And after that we come here, and here we are going to write our TSX. So first we are going to have a div. Inside the div we'll have a class name of margin top of 20, and then we are going to, inside that we'll have a h1 tag with a class name of LG text 7xl, text 4xl, and text will be center, and margin bottom will be 6, and inside the h1 we'll write schedule. And now below that we'll have a paragraph tab with a class name of LG text 2xl, text base, text center, and then W will be 6 by 12, max MD, W will be 10 by 12, and then margin will be auto, and text neutral will be 400. And inside this p tag we write, and after that we go outside this div tag, and then we write one more div inside, and then we'll have a class name here, margin top of 24, LG of text XL, text base, overflow will have our another list with a class name of flex, item center, text XL, MD, text 3XL, uppercase, space X9, white space no wrap, scroll bar hide, and text neutral 500. And inside that let's map over all the artist names. So right here dot from small braces, and then li tag, and inside this li we give a key of index, and then on click we start an anonymous function which is handle. We did not define the function here. Below this item let's define our function. Give a function name of handle item click, and inside we'll pass an index which will be a type of number, and then we set the set selected to the index, And now let's go below and call this function handle click item and pass the index. And now below this we'll add a class name here, template literals. If selected item is equals to index, then scale by 125, text yellow 500, and shadow Excel, and otherwise we'll just leave it blank. And then outside this we'll give a transition, all is in duration of 150 milliseconds, cursor pointer. And now inside this we write artist index. And now let's save and go here and refresh the page. And let me give a margin bottom of 40. So now if we click on any of these, you can see it's selected. And now after that, outside this div, we are going to have one more div with the class name of empty24. Inside that div, we are going to have one more div with the class name of relative mdbg variant to TL from black to white, and then Z will be tel. Inside this div, we are going to use these two components, render dates and render image. So write render image and write render dates. So error is that after this we have to make this equal to index, and along with that we also have to change this to a small braces. So after fixing that, let's save it and go here. And now you can see that our image is being changed, but these are not correct. So let's go here and fix that as well. So there is two error here. First, that this should be flex and this should be max MD. And now if I save and go here, you can see that it's good, it's looking good. So now if I go to the XO, yeah, we got 5 and 8. If we got to streak it, we got 5 at 24, and here changes as well. Our schedule section is almost ready. Now let's add a button here. Outside this div, we are going to add one more div, and inside that we are going to add the button with a class name of px5 py2 border 2 and hover pg white, then hover text black, then transition all is in duration array. And now inside this we are going to have class name of flex, item centers, item space not center baseline, and then 20 of 32. Justify center. Now let's save and go here and see our button. Let me put something here. Show more. Now you can see our button here, and you can see our schedule section is almost ready. Let me add a line here. So let's go to the page.tsx, and between these two we are going to add a HR tag, and this will add a line over here. And now inside the schedule we are going to add the motion for our animation. So first here write motion.div, and then write initial will be hidden, and then while in view will show, and then variants will be container, and after that viewport will be once true, and then we are going to add this motion to over here. So motion.div, and then it will have a variance of item. Similarly, in this we are going to add a motion.div and variance item, and here motion.div and variance item, and here motion.div variance item. Let me refresh it again, and let's go below, and now it comes with an animation. Let's give a margin of 28 instead of 32, and with that our schedule section is also ready. Let me close this, and now our schedule section is also ready. Now let's work on the booking section. So now we have to work on the booking section. So let's add a book, and inside that let's add a book.tsx, and let's define the function here. So let's make this a client component, and then we are going to import our motion from framer motion. So from framer motion define some variants. For that I'm just going to copy this from here. So let's copy this and go here and copy and paste here, and then let's add one more variant here, which will be item 1, and in this we are going to add x, and everything will be same. And now inside this div, let's make first this div a motion.div, and then we'll have our initial, which will be hidden, then while in view it will be show, then variance will be container, and then viewport will be once true, and after that let's add a class name here. Class name with margin top of 32 and margin bottom of 20, and then we are going to add a div here with a class name of relative. Inside this div we are going to add img, and let's make this a motion component. It will have a variance of item, and then it will have a class name of wfull, H auto H max H 500 pixels, then object cover opacity of 20, and then src will be concert.png. Then let's save it, and in the next line we are going to write a div, and this will be a motion div. Variance will be item 1, and this should be item 1, this should be item. And then inside this we are going to have a h1 tag with a class name of uppercase, then text center, then md text 4xl text xl, and then in this we are going to write get your tickets now. Then the next line we are going to have a paragraph tag with a class name of text center, and then we are going to empty text xl white text sm mp3 max sm hidden, and inside this we are going to write, in the next line we are going to have one more div with a class name of flex item center justify center flex item baseline mt16 mt5 justify center, and inside this div we are going to have a button with a class name of md px7 px3 max md text sm md py2 and py1 over bg white over text black, and then transition all is in, and we are going to give a duration of 150 milliseconds, and inside that we are going to write by, and then let's save it and go here and refresh the page. Actually we did not add it to the page, so let's first export it, export default book, and then let's go to the page, and then below this we are going to write book. Now if I save and go here, you can see our page right now. So let's go and do some changes here. Let's add a class name here with the position of absolute, and then we're going to make it center by adding top 50%, left 50%, then translate in x direction by -50%, and translate in y direction by -50%, and then we are going to have flex item center, justify center, and if I save and go here, and this should be percentage. Now if I go and check, the opacity is not applying. So the problem is that in item 1, initially the opacity is 0 and then it is 1, but we don't want 1, we want 0.2. And now if I save and go here and refresh it, now it's looking good. Let's have a border of 2 and border will be a white. And now let's go here and now it's looking good. And if I refresh it, it is animating. And with that, our book section is also ready. Now the last part is to make our this footer section. So let's make that as well. So inside this, we are going to make one more folder which is footer. Inside that, let's write footer.tsx. Now let's define that. Let's write footer and let's add it to the page. Outside this container, we are going to write footer. Now let's give a class name here with padding 14 and bg white, and then let's give a text of color #1 E1 E1 E. Let's also give a margin bottom of 20 so that you can see in my screen. And then we are going to add a div. Inside that we'll have a class name of md flex item start and then justify between. And after that, inside this div, let's have one more div with the class name of flex call and justify between max md mb10, and then we'll have one more div, and inside that we'll have an image. Let's add a class name here. This will be of width 200 pixels and then margin bottom of 3. And let's give a source here which is logo 1.png, and below that we'll have a h1 tag, and outside this we will have a paragraph tag of class name mt20 max md hidden, and then here we will write 2023 203 and copy this and then elegant. Now let's go and check here. This is how it is looking right now. And then outside this div we'll have one more div in which we'll have, and then we'll have one more div with a class name of flex item start space x12, and then after that we'll have another list in which we'll have our list, and first we'll have a class name of text excel, then font semi-bold and pb5, and then it will have menu, and the next line will have home then performance, then booking, then store, and then about us. Similarly, we can write for others, and this is all titles and the footer. Let's save and go here and check. So this is our footer, and let's check its responsivity. You can see that it is responsive as well. So with that, our web page is ready. Let's see one more time by refreshing it. So this is our hero section, and then if we scroll down, this is the hero image, then our other images, then we get our schedules which changes, and then we get our booking, then our footer. So this was the whole video on making a concert web page, and also do subscribe to channel.